Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Rafael Mesa. I serve as Assistant Dean for Undergraduate Admissions. I'm a graduate of the University of Arizona. More importantly, I'm a proud UA parent of a current sophomore who begins her finals next week. I'm thrilled that you've decided to join us and welcome all of you to our virtual coffee chat. I wanted to share with you a quick review of how our coffee chat will function today. To maximize your audiovisual experience, each of you have been muted and your video functionality is turned off. This session is being recorded and will be distributed to all registered attendees. If you hover your mouse towards the bottom of your Zoom box, a toolbar should pop up. This is where you will have the opportunity to ask questions using the Q&A button function. When clicked, a question dialog box will appear and you can type in your questions. We have several colleagues working behind the scenes who are monitoring these questions, so I want to give a huge shout out from them as you'll be receiving answers throughout this session. I encourage you to review these questions as some of your own may already be answered before you even ask. Remember that we will continue to host virtual coffee chats throughout May with varied topics. Feel free to jump on and learn more about the Wildcat experience. You will need to re-register to receive the link for each meeting as they change each week. I want to thank my hosts that are joining us today. I first want to introduce my colleague, Justin Duvall, who serves as the Assistant Director for National Recruitment. Justin will share admissions and recruitment information, dates, deadlines, and all things related to the admissions process as you prepare your students for fall enrollment. Our guest parent host is Heidi Wilenius from Hopewell, New Jersey. She serves as a board member on the Arizona Parent Family Association. Her daughter Maya has remained on campus in Tucson and is wrapping up her first year at the University of Arizona. Heidi, thank you for helping us to host this event today. When I think about the distance from New Jersey to Arizona and the logistics of transportation, moving a college student, and staying connected, please share with us why Arizona and how did Maya feel it was a good fit for her?
Hello, everyone. So my daughter, Maya, is extremely methodical about things that she does. And so she had done a really thorough internet search. She had some basic parameters that she wanted. She wanted an urban center. She wanted something in a warm climate. She needed a strong early childhood education program, a Spanish program. And then she looked in depth at schools that met that criteria. And once she started looking at the University of Arizona, it did not take long for it to shoot to the top. First of all, it's in Tucson and she is a rock climber. Those are pictures of her you're looking at. And then they have extremely strong merit scholarship programs. And so we headed out to Arizona for a campus tour. And after the campus tour, she was 100% sold on the University of Arizona. She had some great classes that she went to, some classes she was able to sit in on. She met some wonderful people, just had a great experience at the campus. So this was not a hard decision for her. So. Justin, or?
Yep, nope, I'm coming in there. My
okay.
computer's a little slow. It's catching up. No, that's a great answer, Heidi. Thank you for sharing that. And when we're on Zoom right now, I mean, obviously there's technology at our fingertips these days. So I'm wondering if you could just share with everybody, how often you communicate with Maya, and how did this come to be? Did it come to be an organic thing, or was this pre-planned? Do you Zoom? Is it text? Is it chat? Share your thoughts on that.
Well, first I'll start with, communicating with her before the pandemic happened, because I did, sending your kid to school on the other side of the country, communication is key. One of the things we set up very early on, we communicate three ways really: text message, phone calls, and FaceTime. Those are our three methods. Email is only occasional. And the deal is, if she really needs to talk to me or I really need to talk to her, we place a phone call, old-fashioned way. A FaceTime call means, hey, I just want to say hey and I want to talk to you and catch up, but it's not urgent. And texts are for everything else. Like, I need to talk to you about something, but and that differentiation between FaceTime and voice calls really helped, because if my phone rings, if I'm in the middle of something and it's her, I answer it. She doesn't voice call very often. Now that has changed. Now we're in a global pandemic. She has a couple friends left in Tucson, and I'm here in New Jersey. And I will say that one of the upsides of this is I get more voice calls from my daughter than I used to. So that's actually, I think she just enjoys talking, you know, is looking for someone to reach out more. And if it's been a while and I haven't heard from her, like especially before this all happened, I would literally just I would text her a picture of the cats and she would respond. That was kind of how I got her attention. So.
I think that's a great answer. And I love how you have the different like classifications for the different urgencies there. I think that's great. Kind of going into my next question, you know, I was thinking about back a long time ago when I was dropped off at school from my dad. I came to this stark realization, wow, this is it. I'm alone. And now 20 or so years on, I think about it from the opposite end of the spectrum, from a parent perspective. So I was kind of wondering if you could share with everybody, you know, share your experiences and challenges navigating the transition in roles, so you know that Maya could maintain sustained independence.
Yeah. So I think, and this just goes on the way that we've always parented, which is the initial thing is resisting the urge to solve their problems. And that's all the more important with her so far away. So if I can answer a question readily, I do, but if it needs research, you know, I mean, she actually texted me a picture of her wrist the other day. She had a rash all on it. She was like, "What is this? I don't know." And I was like, "I don't know. I don't know what that is. Why don't you check with campus health?" And she did, you know, she was able to, but it's more about teaching them and reminding them that they can solve the problems on their own. And when stuff gets a little more serious, I mean, I do remember one day when she called, and she was getting really anxious about the whole unknown of the summer that we're facing in front of us, because we don't know what she's going to be doing. She doesn't know what she's going to be doing quite yet. And it's really important to sit and listen to their fears and to validate them, but not stoke them. And so I just commiserated with her about the absolute unknown. Assured her that we were there for her, you know, we weren't going to she wasn't going to have to live on the street, but that we really didn't know what was going to happen, but that we were all in this together. And I was happy to see that a couple hours later, she called me. She had gone online. She had taken that fear and that dread and actually done something productive, found a couple summer camps that might be hiring. It's basically being there and being a sounding board for them, but not always giving them the answers. Does that make sense? That answer your question?
Absolutely. I think that's a great answer. And, you know, kind of going back earlier, you were sharing with us some of the reasons Maya chose to enroll at Arizona. And, you know, whenever I work with students, I always tell them there's many things I love about Arizona, but one of the things that I love is that we're so diverse and we have really something for everybody. I mean, I always tell students that there's, you know, you're going to find other students at the U of A that have your similar interests and things along those lines. So I guess what I'm asking you is, you know, outside of her academics, what other things has Maya found at the U of A to get her involved in terms of clubs and activities and internships or anything like that?
Yeah. Well, she has found a lot. As you can probably guess from the photos on your screen, she is very into exploring the rocks and mountains in the Tucson area. So she immediately sought out the Ramblers Hiking Club, which is a university club. And they go on hikes every weekend. She met some of her closest friends. Actually, the photo of her there is her and a friend that she met as part of Ramblers. There is also a more casual, informal group. Some of them are Ramblers members, and some of them are just folks who like to climb, and they go out on climbs on the weekend. She found, during our first visit to Tucson, we visited Rocks and Ropes Climbing Center. So she's also a member of that. That's not affiliated with the university at all, but there are a lot of university students there. She rides her bike there. It's got an indoor climbing center. She's joined their adult climbing team, which is a non-competitive. It's really a club. It's called a team. So she's met a lot of people that way. It's also a great community of people. Another passion of hers is that she's a vegan, a very passionate one. And full disclaimer, I'm an omnivore. So is the rest of her family. But so she's joined the Veggie Cats, which is a group of vegans and vegetarian students on campus. And they continue, and her roommate's also a member of that. They continue to meet virtually now. So they really work together as a team to raise awareness of their presence on campus and to raise issues that are important to them. So that's been a good way for her to connect with people and to share something that's really important. She joined I'm probably going to mispronounce this because I don't speak Spanish, but it's El Cotorreo, which is a Spanish conversation group. It's a club that's run through the university. And that was something she's a Spanish minor. And she really, it's a great way to meet a few people, but it's mainly, for the conversation and the practice of Spanish. And it took them a little while after the pandemic hit, but they have now gotten all their meetings online as well. And so she's still continuing that, which is really nice. And then she uses the North Rec up until it closed recently. She loves the North Rec. She's in Honors Village, and so she just has to go across the street. She said the facility there is just amazing. She texted pictures to her, to her gym back home to show off how nice it was. And then she goes, up until everything was shut down, she was going weekly to Borton Magnet School, which is an elementary school in the Tucson area, but she's an early childhood ed major. And she was in a kindergarten classroom. She had just moved to a second grade classroom, which I was just so impressed that as a freshman, she's already in a classroom setting. And she's really enjoyed, being in those. She and her roommate also have gone and explored more of Tucson. They went over, I know they've done some drop-in yoga, some drop-in dance classes, and I think those they found over on 4th Avenue, which is definitely one of my favorite places to visit when I'm there. Yeah, and I think, she's just, there's so much to offer that I'm sure she'll come up with new things too. So.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, with over 600 clubs and organizations, I don't have them all memorized, and I feel like I'm learning something new every single day. So those clubs that you mentioned were really, really cool. Before I get into the last question, I just wanted to ask, when you were getting her all moved in and out to Arizona, we've had a few questions about if you flew or drove. How did you get her out there? How does she come home during breaks? Things like that. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Sure thing. So we fly out. It's a really, really long drive from New Jersey. So the first in August, we did fly out as a family, including my son. So, got her settled in. I would really encourage, I think if I did it again, I would find a friend for my son to stay with, because he didn't want to come. And he just, it was really nice for both my husband and I to be able to go. The flights, we fly to Phoenix. It's very easy, either a rental car drive when we're going or a bus. If it's her, when she flew home for Christmas break, She did take the groom shuttle and, got a direct flight from Phoenix back to Newark. We haven't had any, major transportation issues or even minor ones. Speaking of transportation, I do want to give a plug for the bicycle. We set her up with a used bike. You want to buy a not attractive but very functional bike with a really good lock on it. And she does absolutely everything on her bike. She doesn't actually ride the Cap-Tran or any of the mass transit because she just rides her bike everywhere. Her roommate does both the bike and mass transit, so that kind of depends on, on your kid. But
that's great. Thank you for sharing that. And so just the last question, kind of given the situation, that we've all been in the past couple months here with COVID-19, can you just talk a little bit about what your experiences have been, what Maya's experiences have been during these past couple months, and how it pertains to the pandemic?
Yeah, it has been quite a ride. So when the pandemic first really hit, and which was spring break, when I feel like when it all got very serious, we had not planned to have her come home for spring break. She was going to go camping at Joshua Tree with a friend she had met at Rocks and Ropes. And that's actually where she was when all the announcements were made to shut down. She was off-grid camping at Joshua Tree with one other person. And she came home and she was like, or she came, back to her dorm. She was like, we went into the woods for 5 days and we came back and our world's upside down. It was just very bizarre. And there were a lot of phone calls then. We just stayed in touch. And when they did make the announcement that the university was going online, we knew for her to come back would have been just a mental health disaster, to be honest. And we, as a family, really appreciated that the university left the facilities open for students who really did need to be there, and left that decision to the families of what that, where their student needed to be. And, having your 18-year-old on the other side of the country during a global pandemic it's not a small thing, but when you know that she's in the best place for herself, for her to be, in the healthiest place for her to be mentally and physically, and that there is a strong support system of the university, it really puts your mind at ease as a parent. I would say she has used campus health services for non-corona related issues. She's been, very happy with the service she's gotten there before and after this all started. And she has taken the antibody test. She's waiting for her results. So the fact that those were made available was really, that was made us feel good. And I mean, right now, I'm talking to you from New Jersey. We are number 2 in the nation for COVID-19 cases right now. So traveling to see my daughter or vice versa is not, ethical or feasible at this point. And so it means the world to me that I know she's in good hands and she's in a good place. She's currently, she's made a very tight network of friends, 2 friends. There's 3 of them, and we've talked to her about that's her family right now, because we're all told we can only be around our family. We have to socially distance from everybody else. So one of her family members is that girl you see in the picture there. And I think that's important for mental health and just, staying in contact. Hopefully she will be a summer camp counselor in either Arizona or Utah this summer if the camps open up. And if not, we're just going to take it one day at a time. So.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And I'm glad to hear she's doing well and she's taking advantage of the resources that are obviously still on campus and available. So that's really good to hear. Thank you for answering those questions for us. And what I want to do is I just want to kind of take the next couple of minutes here real quick just to kind of update everybody on some admissions updates as we move throughout the summer and back into the fall. So the first update that I did want to give is just wanted to remind everybody that we have pushed back our enrollment fee deposit to commit to the U of A until June 1st. Traditionally it's May 1st, but we pushed that back till June 1st to give families a little bit of extra time. And that is also the day to request a refund of your enrollment deposit. So if plans do change over the coming weeks, as long as you were to cancel your application by June 1st, you'll get a refund of that enrollment deposit back. Transitioning quickly into housing, there may be some of you out there that applied for housing prior to May 1st, already have done your enrollment deposit and have completed your rent down payment, fulfilling all of the requirements to be in the student picks category, to pick their own dorm. That process, which normally starts middle of May, has been pushed back to early June. So around that time, you'll be hearing from our housing office in terms of when your exact time is and day to select which dorm you want. There is still time to apply for housing, even though it is past May 1st. So if you have not done that yet, you can still move forward. And I just wanted to put a plug out on the housing website. They under the roommates section, they have a really great video that I've been sharing with a lot of families recently, because I've been still getting a lot of excitement for the fall, and people want to, find roommates and this and that. And on the housing website under roommates, there's a really good video, about a 5-minute video, that walks you through how to search for roommates in the housing portal. So if anybody out there is having questions pertaining to that, I highly recommend watching that video, because it's going to help out a lot. Next Step Center. So continue to push through Next Step Center. That is essentially your home base for all of the things that you need to do moving forward. So keep checking that every so often, and keep going down the list. The update to our orientations. So all of our orientations for May and for June have been transitioned into the virtual format. We want to assure you that it's going to be the same exact experience as you would otherwise get in person, of course, just now in a digital format. About a week before your orientation that you registered for, in your Next Step Center, you're going to see a new tile pop up, and it's called Digital Orientation. And that will kind of give you information as to what your actual orientation day is going to look like. And then on the day of your orientation, you're going to get an email from our orientation and Next Step Center team to just say, hey, today's your orientation, log in and follow through. So be on the lookout for that. And then really the last thing I just wanted to plug is all of our virtual visit options on our admissions website. Just click on virtual visit, and we have all sorts of information sessions online. Fridays at 3 p.m. via Instagram. You can, it's a Q&A with current Wildcats. So if your son or daughter out there wants to ask questions of current students, that's their opportunity to do that. And we'll be adding more things, as time goes on. So that's a great place to see all of those things. So that's pretty much my updates. So yeah.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Justin and Heidi. That was a great conversation, although brief, super informative. And in terms of continuing to inform our audience that are out there virtually and digitally, I can see just from our Q&A box, there's been a lot of questions, a lot of great questions that are coming in that our team is continuing to answer. And I want to make sure that our participants are aware of the fact that we will get to every question. Even if we don't get to it live, we will continue to follow up and make sure you get your answers. But I was just kind of taking a note of kind of more of the popular topics within that Q&A box. And so with the time that we have left, we just wanted to kind of formally do a continued Q&A with Justin and Heidi respectively. And Justin, continue, I guess, in that theme of updates in terms of enrollment. A common question that's been out there from the families today are there options for their students to continue deferring admission and or any merit aid that they've been offered? Can you speak a little bit to that and any options we might be offering to our families?
Yeah, sure. So that is, something that that our senior leadership at the U of A is working on, and we should have a definitive answer to how that process is going to look very, very soon. I wish I had more of a definitive answer at this point, but please rest assured that that is being worked on. And as soon as we know, we will communicate it to you. So my advice would be, because I'm not sure where everybody is right now, I think they're all throughout the country, is if you have been working with your assigned admissions counselor, your admissions recruiter, keep in contact with them, because they'll obviously have those updates and will be able to fill you in as well. If you don't maybe know who your admissions counselor is, on our admissions website, you can find out. You just enter in where you're coming from and it'll take you right there. So it's in the works. I don't have a definitive answer, but it's coming soon.
Great. Thank you, Justin. Heidi, a little bit earlier in your comments, you had referenced Maya's nutritional preferences. Can you talk a little bit about kind of what her experience has been with dining on campus, the options that are available for students, so that for parents, especially that haven't visited campus, what does that kind of look like for the students?
There's a huge number of options at the student union, and there is a dining hall right in, it's called 85 North or something, 84 North, that's right in Honors Village. I will be honest, my daughter is not only a vegan, her dietary preferences get pretty crazy. And so she actually reached out to dining services at the beginning, and they were extremely accommodating, I would say. They would get her extra vegetables at the market and she would pick up. So she really has been preparing most of her own food and getting fresh vegetables through dining services using, you have a market that I forget the name of, where she can get groceries with her, with her swipes, her meal swipes. She's a strong believer in the Instapot.
Yeah, awesome.
So, but I would just want to say there are a huge amount of options. Cooking her own food is a personal preference of my child. She's not doing that because of a lack of options on campus.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in there too to add into that. I'm sorry. I just wanted to add into that. Yeah, I mean, the UA employs a full-time nutritionist, and I think I just saw something where we were ranked like second and the third in the country for students with food allergies. So all of those dietary restrictions are definitely taken care of.
Oh, absolutely. I would say that, and they were just very accommodating, even when it came to preferences for organic produce and things like that. So.
Great, thank you for noting that for our audience. Heidi, also, if I recall, you had also mentioned your daughter's part of our honors college. Anything you want to just share some highlights of just her experience both in the honors village, but also as an honors Wildcat?
She definitely has appreciated being a member of the honors college. The honors village has been a wonderful place to live. It is, they're the first class to inhabit that dorm, and she does have, back when there were live classes, she had one 8 a.m. class down the hall, which she just loved being able to roll out of bed and walk down to. She's really had just a very positive experience. She has most of her classes are very small, so now she's actually doing a lot of Zoom because a lot of her classes are synchronous. So there's still a lot of discussion going on, which is definitely good. And she did actually, I don't know if this is part because of honors college or through the School of Education, but she just got accepted as a fellow in the Tucson Unified School District. And so that's a pretty exciting opportunity. She hasn't been assigned a school yet, but that comes with a small stipend and pairs her with a professional mentor, which will be really nice. So
That's awesome. We're glad to hear that. Hey, Justin, can you speak a little bit to our parents today about on a broader level, what are some of the research and engagement and internship opportunities that our new freshmen can expect to take advantage of as soon as they get to campus in the fall?
Well, I mean, I can talk. I mean, first of all, I mean, we're a tier one AAU research school, so only, I don't know, 40, 50 AAU schools out there. So we do quite a lot of research at the U of A, and kind of going off of Heidi's point, especially in the honors college, they have opportunities to get involved in research right away, first year, and basically their pick of what they want to do, their pick of the professor that they want to work with. But outside of the honors college, we encourage all students to explore those options. We have a dedicated undergraduate research webpage where a lot of the opportunities are posted, opportunities for students to reach out and connect with professors to see if it might be a match for them. They want to pursue that. So it's all part of our 100% engagement philosophy at the U of A, where we want students to graduate with those skills, be it research, internship, co-op. So yeah, it's something that is fostered at the U of A. It's encouraged, and seek it out really at any point in your UA career.
Great. And as our students are moving around campus academically and getting engaged, although Heidi had shared earlier about how her daughter's utilizing a bike to move around campus, some of our parents are asking that common question of, should my son or daughter bring the car to campus? Justin, can you speak a little bit about what your recommendations are, especially for first-year students, on whether they should bring their own vehicle to campus?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give my thoughts on that, and then I don't know, maybe Heidi can jump in too and share what they did. But I'm based in Denver, so I work mainly with out-of-state students, and I don't have an exact number of how many that I work with that end up bringing their car or don't bringing their car. Some say they do, some say that they're not going to, and it's certainly not a campus where you need to have a car. You don't need to get in your, roll out of bed in the morning, go to your car, drive to another area of campus, find parking, and go to class. That's not going to happen. Like Heidi was saying, you get around by bike. That's very popular. You can walk around campus. It's a large campus, but all of the things that you frequent are very easy to get to. And of course, during the hotter times of the year, maybe beginning of the fall, later on in the spring, we do have a free intercampus shuttle that goes around campus that you can utilize. And of course, there's the Sunlink light rail, which is like a little train that runs on the street, and it connects downtown Tucson to the campus. So bottom line is, it's your choice at the end of the day, but you certainly don't need one to survive.
Sure. Great.
yeah, I'll chime in on that one if I can.
Yeah, for sure.
As a parent, I would say something that someone I mean, for us, a car is not an option. We live in New Jersey. She didn't have one in New Jersey, so wasn't about to buy one. The bike, what we did for her bike, we got not just a bike, we got giant bike baskets for the back and front of her bike. So she literally can go grocery shopping. She can carry all her heavy books. And the other thing that people don't realize, if you bring a car to campus, then you're the student with the car. You're the person everybody comes to. There are like she had a medical appointment where she needed some blood drawn. So we paid her, we paid for her to take an Uber, for that situation. And she knows about checking license plates. I just want to put that out there. Make sure your kid knows about checking license plates if you use rideshare. And there are also, there are other free things on campus, but literally the couple of times that she's needed a Lyft or an Uber have been just, literally twice a semester. It's so minimal. That's my vote as a parent.
Sure. And with the time that we have left, Heidi, and again, reminding the audience members, we won't get to every question directly, but some of the popular questions directed at you, Heidi, have been one, remind us about what the experience was traveling to Tucson. More specifically, did you fly into the airport in Tucson or Phoenix? And with that, once you got to campus, describe the moving experience when you arrived on campus, moving into the residence hall.
Sure thing. So we, the very first time we visited the university, we did fly into Tucson. I'll be honest, I had not been to Arizona since I was 12 years old, and it didn't even occur to me that I could fly to Phoenix instead. So I had to take a connecting flight, which was a big hassle. We had delays. So if you can fly to Tucson direct, that's wonderful. But if you have to take a connecting flight, I strongly recommend Phoenix. And what was your, there were two parts of that question, Rafael.
Yeah, and the second part was once you arrived in Tucson, or specifically on campus at the beginning of the semester, briefly describe the move-in experience to get your daughter moved into the residence hall.
It was super easy. I mean, they gave us this digital map that we knew exactly what time we had to be where. And so at our allotted time, we arrived in a parking lot near the Honors Village. We got like a piece of paper or something. We put it on our windshield, pulled up to the spot. There were like 6 university students there to unload our car. It was just like, you know, it was like, boom, it happened. By the time we walked up to the dorm room, I think we had an escort, you know, showing us like a tour guide taking us to the room, and the stuff was all there. I mean, it was really easy. She did do, we took an extra, you know, we gave ourselves a couple days for move-in. You know, we stayed in town, and so we did take her out shopping for a few basics. She had gotten a bunch of stuff online, you know, like the Instapot and those sorts of things. If you, yeah, it was pretty easy.
And just to extend on that question, Heidi, did you ship anything from New Jersey to campus? And if you did, what was your approach to that?
We did not have to ship anything because if you looked at that, but the first picture of me in my first slide was us arriving. We were a family of 4 traveling. So and we have United Miles, you know, United card. So we each got 1 suitcase, and we basically let Maya use all the suitcases. So we just filled our suitcases. Since that time, we do send packages to her on occasion just for fun, and she absolutely loves getting mail. So, but we, other than you know, I think we ordered a couple things from like Bed Bath & Beyond and IKEA. There, yeah, that's how much luggage we arrived from New Jersey with.
Awesome.
I would say, and that included multiple stuffed animals.
Great, awesome. Well, we are right on time. And definitely want to respect the time of our guests, both our hosts as well as our panelists, and then everybody out there sending in their questions. And so we'd love to try to get to every question live, but we definitely won't have that time today. But just want to remind our audience that we're going to allow for an extra 5 minutes for folks to continue to utilize the Q&A function to keep asking and getting their questions answered live. So we'll continue to take advantage of that. But I definitely want to take a moment to, again, thank Heidi for sending your students to the University of Arizona. And Justin, thank you for supporting the students that are selecting the University of Arizona. I would definitely want to thank your time with us this afternoon. And then, as I mentioned, we'll allow for some extra time. Just some reminders to all attendees, if you plan to join us for a future coffee chat or virtual session, you'll need to re-register to receive the unique link for that event. And then I just want to, Justin touched upon it, but the last slide there you see is just highlighting the link there to our virtual visit opportunities. And I want to emphasize that it goes beyond just a virtual tour. We're actually doing some live virtual connections with different areas of campus. So for those of you, until we may have an option to visit campus anytime before move-in, keep checking our virtual visit site for those opportunities. Once again, as I said, we'll stay online for about 5 more minutes before we turn off the meeting. And thank you again for joining us today. Bear down and stay healthy.